Hey guys, first of all, I apologize if you hear any, sounds. Those are going to be like notifications coming in and basically, text messages and stuff like that. But yeah, it is Friday, October 25th, 2024. It is 5:43 p.m. Pacific right now. And yeah, it's been a very interesting week to say the least. The difference between today and last Friday is there was no VTO offered. There was no VTO, voluntary time off, offered because we were actually pretty busy. Not busy, as if to say, basically we would have a lot of people helping us out in our area that's scheduled to, but busy enough to where I guess the management at my job, because when we walk in and we clock in, we have this meeting area we go to in the warehouse. And on the right side, there is a screen that lists all the departments, all the sections of the warehouse that people work in. And you will see your name in one of those sections, mostly the section you're assigned to. And for the second Friday in a row, I did not see my name in my section, which is trailer stripping. And it was kind of weird. But from what I understand, they do that because they might have you float between areas. They might have you float between department areas, sections, if you will, to help out. And that's kind of what I did today, very briefly. But anyway, yeah, second Friday in a row, my name wasn't on the screen. And in my opinion, and I think anybody that has a job like this, where you clock in, you meet in one area, and you see, where you're going to be for the day, work-wise, I think, honestly, if they don't have your name on there, then they should at least give you the option, if you have it available to you, to take the day off with pay. Because if they're not going to have you assigned to one specific area, then why are you even there? Why are you even there? But I get it. They need people to float about because they might need help in certain sections, so I understand that. Now, this week was interesting, to say the least, because, as I said, there was no VTO offered throughout, but it did seem like it was going to happen. Basically, I had this feeling going through me. That it's going to happen. We just don't know when. But it never did. It never did because, just when it looked like or felt like it may happen, that's when some work started to come in to keep us, to keep us there, to keep us going. Anyway, with that said and everything, it was, like I said, a very interesting week, to say the least. Very interesting. What I mean by that is, basically, for the first time that I know of, I spent a majority of my work week in my assigned area, which was trailer stripping. Now, they did send me to other places, throughout the week during certain days, but it was only very briefly. Only very briefly. For example, the other day, I think it was yesterday or something, I'm not really sure, they had me in an area called staging. And it's part of what's known as P2L. And basically that's short for pack to light. And they had me in that area, but they had me off stacking, which basically is you look at a box that comes down the conveyor belt and you see two numbers and you set it down on a pallet and then you keep matching up those numbers and everything. Anything like, for example, anything in the 70s, from like 71 to 79 or 70 to 79, you put it on a pallet. Or if it's just one specific item, then you just match up the two first numbers. Like if it's 72, then a pallet has to be all 72. That's basically what we did. Well, basically what I did the other day. And it's not the first time I've done it. I did it last week, as well, and, so on and so forth. But, just an interesting week. Like I said, the first time in a while that I know of that, I've been mainly in my area, if you will. And what's also interesting about it is when you get to like not just your first break, but mainly your lunch, it's like all of a sudden the day goes by faster. Yeah. Sometimes it all depends. Sometimes you might have, your day might go faster after, let's say, the initial first break. It might do that. And it has done that. It's felt like it's done that. And, sometimes, like I said, it'll be after the lunch. It'll go just like that. It's like before you know it, here's your last break. And then before you know it, you're out. So it's one of those it's one of those kind of unique work environments to where, if you keep yourself busy, before you know it, you're going to be out for the day. But yeah, they had me mostly in trailer stripping this week, which was pretty good. Like I said, they did kind of have me go around and work in different areas, shipping, PTL, the off-stacking, staging, and all that. I don't think they ever once had me do box making or anything like that. I think it was mostly all, just majority of the time trailer stripping and stuff like that. But I'm tired. You can tell by my voice and the way I'm speaking. But I'll tell you, it's better than nothing. And this time around, unlike last week, I will get a full week check from doing 40 hours. So that's pretty good. Now, what's interesting is also during this week, they had me and a few other people go and basically take part in this little, I guess you could say, get to know you better survey, like meeting, listening, we are listening meeting, whatever they call it. And basically, we would just ask, how things have been going, what we would improve on and, and so forth and stuff like that. And, what other things we could see take place, like activity-wise, to make things a little bit funner, especially during the peak months, which are, November and December, mostly November. And, that was the only other thing I know I took part in, was that. And, there is, and the thing is, after that, I let the person in charge of the place, I let them know that, hey, because one person did ask this question. They did ask this question, and that is, how can we obtain full-time ship, if you know what I mean, full-time ship. And the person that is in charge that did this little get to know you better meeting basically said they have to wait. They have to wait until they see what the volume is going to be for February, and they find out what that volume is at the end of next month. Now, from what I've seen in some of the agenda note meetings, mostly the one that we did yesterday, which is basically, in case you guys don't know, agenda note meetings or any kind of, I guess you could say team meeting, of warehousing jobs or whatever the kind of job you have. These team meetings are basically to let, which are done, because there are team meetings that are done during the mornings, but the way they're done is you only get like a team meeting, full-on team meeting, everybody involved, Monday morning and Friday morning. Every other meeting, what they did since the last time I was at this place, which was last year, what they've done is they've broken all the department areas into sections to have their own little meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then come Monday and Friday, they go and do the regular morning meetings. And then Thursday afternoon, basically 20 minutes before clocking out, they do what's known as a team meeting called agenda notes. Basically, let you know what's going on, what the schedule is going to be, what to look forward to, and such, such and stuff like that. And basically, from what I saw with the agenda notes, the team meeting, before we clocked out yesterday, it looks like the volume is going to go up, but it's in God's hands. And pray that I do get the full time ship, if you will, because I think it'd be beneficial for me financially and personally. I think it'd be beneficial for me, and I think they would enjoy having me there on a weekly basis. Now, I know that may not happen. I have other opportunities being presented by people in front of me, for other jobs and stuff. And yeah, that is something I'm looking into as well. But again, keep this situation in prayer, because if I could stay on with the weekly pay, it'll be something that would help me out, like I said, financially and personally down the line. So anyway, that is what happened with the agenda notes and everything. That I saw an increase in the volume, and like I said, I let the person in charge know, hey, I want to stay on. I want to try to stay on if the opportunity presents itself. And they're like, sure, no problem. I got to check. I got to take the volume and everything, because I think I've proven now that I've learned some lessons from the previous year. And one of those lessons is to always look about and see if there's any coworkers that live within the same area as you that could help you out to get to work at certain times. Like, with the upcoming peak schedule in November, according to the electronic board, if you believe it, the earliest is going to be 5 a.m., which isn't an issue. It isn't an issue for me, especially if I can get somebody to take me in at that time. Because one of the things that they're also ensuring that people, get there on time is there's an incentive that they're going to put in. And the incentive is an increase by $2. So what we get paid now, which is about $17, it'd be increased to $19, which would be huge. Like my gross total for this week so far is $680, and depending on what they take out, could be like $570, six something, $590, who knows. But increased by $2 more, and that's saying something. Especially because of the holidays. And also the fact that I have some goals in mind. One of the goals I have in mind, hopefully by next week, is to get a Bose soundbar. And not just any Bose soundbar, no. My plan is to get the Bose 600 soundbar. It's kind of like my special treat to myself. Hey, because of the fact that I'm working now. I'm working again. I'm earning my own money again. I'm not waiting on I'm not waiting on unemployment and all that. I'm getting my own money. So my main goal, like last year's main goal, was the PlayStation 5. I accomplished that. This one, patience is everything, is going to be the Bose. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be the Bose Soundbar 600, which is 5 speakers within the soundbar, and it's supposed to immerse you in what you hear. Not saying the soundbar I don't have isn't good right now, it is. But my plan with that soundbar is to put it under my monitor, which is behind me when I'm sitting at my desk, behind my game chair. And basically I could use that to play some games on the monitor with sound and be able to record some stuff as well for this channel, for my YouTube channel in the future. But that's the main goal. The other thing I got planned as well is I'm going to commission a friend of mine that's done some great, comic commissions or single page commissions. And the friend is called Mel Sky. And she does tremendous work. She is a great artist. And I have an idea that I've commissioned, I'm going to commission her to do. It's kind of a sequel to another story she did for me last year. But the only difference is I can't share those stories here on the YT because of, well, let's just say they're very NFSW in nature. But anyway, those are the goals. Again, the main goal is the bows. That's the main goal. But yeah, again, pray that things work out, for me to possibly remain with this job after December, because that's when they'll start cutting people. And the last thing I want to do is go back to unemployment because of that, because I only have like 1 week left to go on unemployment. And that's not good. That's not good. But again, pray things work out for the better. Pray that things work out for the better, and pray that if it doesn't, maybe I'll be able to try to get back into my old Bollywood job down the line. We'll see. But there's also a Popeye's Chicken opening up, and I get the idea of working for them because of what they pay and stuff, but it's like, really, do I want to do that? We'll have to see. If it's the only thing there, then so be it. But you got to imagine how many people are going to apply for that, if not have applied for that. And it's just going to be like, well, if I apply, then do I get hired? Or are they just going to be like, yeah, we're not interested right now? Because I tried for the grocery outlet. Nothing happened. Who's to say this is going to be any better? And it's supposed to be, and it's next to the Flying J. So again, we'll see. We'll see what they got in mind. We'll see what they got. We'll see what God, I should say, has in mind for me. My plan in actuality is to try to save as much as I can going forward. That's why I haven't really splurged too much. Because I know that if this job is just temporary, then I'm going to need to save as much as I can in my account. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the future. I might look into the 401k and see what I can do there if I can. But anyway, though, like I said, it's been an interesting week. Like I said, mainly stayed in trailer stripping, did all that. Had a freaking fire alarm go off, but they were testing it and all that. They were testing the fire alarm, so what are you going to do? And for me, from an accomplishment standpoint, I actually did something I haven't really done that much of, even last year when I was in trailer stripping. I actually finished 2 huge trailers, not on the same day, but individually. I think it was the other day I finished it. I finished one within a time period. It was big, not too big, but it was mostly pallets and everything, with a few, palletizing moments here and there where I had to shrink wrap and everything. But outside of that, got it done by myself, and I was even innovative in my process too. And what I mean by innovative is, I think it was yesterday or Wednesday, I can't remember. It was one of those 2 days. I think it was Wednesday, because we had the stuff yesterday. But Wednesday, we were out. For some odd reason, it was mostly all gathered and stored in receiving and pack-to-light, section of the warehouse. But we in other sections outside of that were running out of shrink wrap, because one of the things we have to do is shrink wrap the items that we strip off the trailer, the returns for Amazon, the returns for Kohl's and stuff like that. We didn't have the shrink wrap, and we were running low. So what I had to do is I did something that we normally do for a lot of the bagged returns. And what these bagged returns are basically items that are in boxes but are put in bags and everything and are basically returned in that manner. Or mainly they're just, like I said, items bagged, as as if people just got them out of the box, testing them, and they're not exactly what they wanted. So what I did is I took what's known as a Gaylord, or Gaylord. That's what it's called, a Gaylord. it's basically a box. It's a cardboard box that you basically, when you turn it upside down, you basically I guess you could say you put the bottom together. You kind of basically fix the bottom to where it will stand up and nothing will spill out. In other words, you gotta flap the bottom part of the Gaylord in a way to where it's like one flaps on top of the other, and then you gotta push the other one under. You get the idea. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because on Wednesday I had to be innovative and I had to put a lot of stuff. That normally I would palletize and wrap up with shrink wrap into the Gaylord along with the bagged items because of the fact that we were out of shrink wrap. Yeah. And shrink wrap didn't come until almost the end of the shift. And I'm thinking, really? Now it shows up? Give me a break. That's how I felt. That's how a lot of us felt. And I'm sure other parts of the warehouse felt as well when everybody was finally starting to get the supply of shrink wrap, the Super C, if you will. But that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough either. Yesterday, we were slow in our area, but it was a busy slow. And what I mean by that is, in trailer stripping, because if one department is slow or down, it's going to, in a way, affect some other departments connected to it. Well, what happened is, for some odd reason, the people in charge of the trucks coming over and attaching to the stripping section of the warehouse, apparently the person in charge was kind of being very lackadaisy, very nonchalant, very delayed, falling behind, whatever the case may be. And basically, it caused us to, essentially be late on a lot of the trucks we were supposed to strip. So, because of that, and hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, guys. Sorry about that. But anyway, that was just a phone call and everything. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, it wasn't until basically the end of, that was Wednesday, the whole shrink wrap deal. But yesterday, like I was saying, what happened is whoever was in charge of what's known as the yard was very lackadaisy, wasn't paying attention, very delayed, because usually we would have plenty of trucks, or at least that's what we were told by the person in charge, that we were supposed to have plenty of trucks to work with. But that didn't happen until later on. And it was during this process that they sent me and another guy to go and help in shipping, kind of bring the red lights down and all that, as well as go and help in, off stacking, staging, pack to light, that, like I mentioned earlier. And essentially, long story short, like I said at the beginning, very interesting week, because the guy that is in charge over in the stripping area, stripping in Amazon, because they're kind of basically one and the same. We strip off the items, we stack, take the items out of the truck, mostly Amazon returns, and if they need to be right away, they go right over to the other side of the area of the section, and they get put into the returns to be sent back to Amazon. So that's kind of how it works. But anyway, like I was saying, it was a very interesting day. And like I said, the guy that was there basically running it all throughout the week was not there today, probably used some paid time off. And his secondary was in charge, instead. And basically it was one of those days to where, we could have probably used a few extra more hands, if you will, in the stripping area. But what's interesting, though, is one of the people that we have in the Amazon shipping group, that I'm part of. Basically, this individual, not going to say anything more than you can tell he has some issues. Not not very bad issues, but very, I guess you could say, attention deficit issues, if you will, kind of autistic, if you will. Not saying that's a bad thing, but apparently he's got attention deficit, autistic-like issues or whatever. But he does a decent job, apparently. He does a decent enough job, but you can tell he gets a little distracted or a little confused. If not, maybe just a tiny bit of a lot. And the reason I say that is I've worked with him and others have worked with him, and you can kind of tell that, for a while he is focused, but then he kind of like loses focus. You get the idea? Again, nothing wrong with that. It's a good worker. But yeah, basically what's funny is, well, not funny, but what's interesting is they had him, because what they do after, a team meeting, or they do the little mini meetings, Tuesday through Thursday, like I mentioned earlier, or even after the big mega morning meetings, what they do is everybody does, I should say, is they gather together in groups. They gather together in groups, and they basically get assigned to certain areas that are within their section. Like people will get assigned to, like with shipping, people will get assigned either in 3-on-3s or 4-on-4s. Basically meaning either 3 trailers a section or 4 trailers a section to basically work on for shipping. And then after that, those that remain get assigned to Amazon if Amazon is done that day or is scheduled to be done that day. And some are assigned to palletize the truck. Some are assigned to scan. Some are assigned to toss. And some of them are assigned to float. Well, this guy basically, this individual, was told he was going to toss. But what happened is apparently either he got confused, and thought he was just mainly stripping, wasn't paying attention. Or what happened is one of the people over there, because we have, just like with stripping, we have 2 people, Amazon has the same thing. And what could have happened, in my opinion, is one of the people there looked at the fact that, hey, we got this individual working, with us. We're not sure if he's ready. We're not sure if they're ready. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, this person gets sent back over to trailer stripping. Now, I can kind of see where, they're coming from with that, because 2 weeks ago, or at least a week ago, I too was assigned to Amazon, but they said, nope, you're going back over to trailer stripping. And I'm thinking, okay, no problem. Because obviously they haven't seen me really work with Amazon until today. But me doing it today was temporary, because they had another one of those, we are listening, get to know you meetings with some other people. And and myself, I should say, and some others were temporarily brought over there to take over and, do certain things. And I was brought in to float, basically work between trailers, help stack, help pick up items, stuff like that. Because, some items will fall off the conveyor belts when they're going into the trailers and being stacked up by people that are in the trailers. Some of the items are even categorized as hard, soft, and non-con. So anyway, though, like I said, what was interesting is he was assigned there. He was told, you're going to toss. And I do apologize for that notification there. But he was told, you're going to toss. You're going to toss the items and everything. And what happened is, again, he got sent back over to our area. To the trailer stripping. So it's like, okay. So they had a truck for him to work on, but it's kind of weird. Like, wait a minute, he gets told, to do one thing, but then he's sent over and doing something else. And that kind of shows you in a way that, for me at least, they know, hey, I could get the job done, although I need to be, for me, I haven't done Amazon in over a year. So, and mostly I've never floated. When I've done Amazon, I've either done this, the stacking in the trailer, stacking it up and everything. I've done the scanning, I've done the tossing. I've never done the floating. So the floating basically, like I said, is, you're going from one area, picking up an item, putting it back on the conveyor belt, going into one trailer, helping out, putting up the wall and everything, and so on. That's what floating is. And I did a decent job. In my opinion. Okay, I did a decent job. Not thoroughly, but I did a decent job. And yeah, they did talk to me and say, hey, you need to be more, hey, you need to be more, I wouldn't say focused, but basically they told me that when it comes to floating, you need to make sure that you're there helping them all out. And I was like, hey, no problem. I get it. And they understood. Look, maybe you have, and I can tell by the people that run it over there. They might be young, but they also kind of understand, like, hey, this person probably hasn't done Amazon in a while, and he probably hasn't done floating, so it's totally different for him, than what he used to do. So hopefully, if I go back to Amazon again, this time around, I won't have to worry about floating, and instead I'll just scan and all that. If you kind of understand what I'm saying, But to get back on point, like I said, it was just kind of strange that it happened. But again, it's happened to me already this year. So it kind of tells you that maybe they feel that person's not ready yet, or they don't have confidence, and they're not going to straight out tell him or tell anybody that gets, put in that situation that, hey, we don't have confidence that you can do this, And again, the guy's a good worker. But he has what is known as attention deficit autistic-like disorder. Kind of like you can see something's off about him. And it does look like he does take medication to focus, or at least help him temporarily focus. But again, good worker, but it was kind of interesting that happened, if you know what I mean. And and again, not to dwell on this any longer, but what makes me know about this by working with him is he's always like, oh, can I can take it out? Like, I can take it out? Oh, I can wrap it? It's like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like, he gets excited about that stuff. So, again, I can tell there's issues, but overall, the positive outweighs the negative, and the positive is they're a good worker. The person is a good worker. So that's all I'm going to say. But outside of that, though, like I said, very interesting week. I mean, look, I'm not perfect when it comes to my work, and like I said, that was proven today. But I'm still readjusting. I'm learning these new areas too that I get sent to, these new sections, department areas that I get sent to work. I'm still learning them as well. I'm still learning as I go along. Now, what's also interesting is something that happened to me yesterday too. And it was after work. So after work, I get dropped off over at the Great Clips, next to Walmart, right? I get dropped off there. And I get dropped off because I have to get my hair cut because it's, I was letting it grow, but then I'm like, man, it's making me sweat a little bit more than I want to. And I just felt like the time was finally necessary. Just cut it off, just cut it down, get a 2 and a 3 like I normally would, go from there. And that's what I did. I went to Great Clips, walked in, told them who I was. They have, they have my information on record. They know what I like to get, and I got it. I got a two and a three. Got my eyebrows trimmed, my sideburns, trimmed. So I got that done, and then I went into Walmart. Still had time before my bus came, and I went and got myself some toothpaste. Got myself that new Pro Enamel mouthwash that they're advertising. It seems to work. I felt the tingling earlier this morning. But yeah, I got that. I also got myself one of those glass Coca-Cola bottles, the Mexico ones. I got that to drink while I waited for the bus. And I also went and got a few Christmas items, not presents, but items for the holiday season. I got basically a nativity like snow globe. It's not a snow globe; it doesn't have snow in it, but it's a nativity like globe that when you press it, it sings "Away in a Manger" and "Silent Night," I think, or something like that. And then I also got another ornament for the newest addition to our family on my nephew's side. That happened very recently. So got an ornament that says First Christmas 2024, and I'm going to place a picture of the newest addition to our family, if you will, in there. But anyway, outside of that, like I said, that I was, and this was all after work, because afterwards when I got on the bus, and the bus driver took me and others to our area, where we, here, took us to our home, our destination, if you will. I get dropped off at the bus stop that's not that far from where I am. And as I'm walking, I cross the street. What I do is I go on the bus stop. I get dropped off at the bus stop, which is, like I say, not far from where I am. And I walk across the street, because, where I live, on the other side. So I walk, and I'm walking down the street, right? Getting ready to turn onto the street, to where I live. And as I'm walking, I'm looking up, and all of a sudden, I see 2, if not 3 coworkers walking towards me. And they're both mainly in the management, department. One is a seasonal manager, and the other is kind of like a trainer, HR-like manager as well. And I looked up, and I'm like, I have to do like a double take. I'm like, huh? And I wave, and they wave back, and I'm like, wait a minute. They live here too? So I find out by talking to the people that they lived out here for a while. So I'm thinking, well, maybe that's God telling me that, hey, if you stay on, which, again, pray that happens post-seasonal, if you will, pray I stay on, maybe that's God telling me, hey, this is probably your way of getting to work, especially when it comes to the summer, due to some, difficult circumstances, if you get my drift. But yeah, it was a surprise. It was a big, major surprise. I was like, wait a minute, what? Because I know about at least 1 or 2 that I work with, or that I don't work with directly unless circumstances present themselves, but I work with on the same, shift, the same day shift. So I'm like, well, wait a minute. These folks live out here too. That's kind of cool. But anyway, though, yeah, that was a surprise and everything. And, after that, not really much, to go on. The only thing I had to eat over the past couple of days, for lunch has been, the cup of noodles. I think they're called the instant lunch chicken flavor noodles by Marcin, if you will. So I ate those and everything, and then I ate some pita bread potato soup today for lunch, and that was good. But overall, not too bad of a week, but very interesting to say the least. I will put it that way. Like I said, first time I've worked directly, mostly in my area that I'm assigned to, for the first time this year. Without bouncing around. But yeah, very interesting week, and can't really say any more than that. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on this vlog. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere if you haven't already. Love to hear from you guys on this. Check out my Teespring store. Link is in the description at the bottom. Also, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out in a big, big way. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on all this. Let me know if you've ever dealt with stuff like this at your job, depending on what kind of job it is. And until then, talk to y'all later.